Hmm. Okay. Looks like we are live. What's up, YouTube? My name is Hoagie from Robot Punch. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at some of my old VR games. Let's see, I've been doing this Robot Punch thing for about 3 years now. Just trying to figure my way through it. So a lot of you know game development is a long road. So for the last 3 years or so, I've been taking it on in earnest. And let's just say I've definitely learned a lot. The things I thought I knew when I was working many, many years ago aren't as awesome as I thought they were then. So I guess what I want to do is pretty much work live on YouTube and just do some game development. What I want to do is hop into this Tomato Thrasher game. This made this forever ago. Let me see if I can open it up and look at the details of it. Made this Tomato Thrasher game maybe 3 years ago or so, long time ago. You can see it's just totally old, just full of, a lot of placeholder assets. And, back when, I barely know how to do anything still, but back when I really, really barely knew how to do anything. And wasn't working alone then either. So this was a group effort. And I really feel like it would be a good idea for me and for other people who might be interested in the more holistic aspects of game development. If you are interested in maybe seeing more than just one or two game mechanics, maybe you want to see what goes into something end to end. I don't plan to do anything huge. This seems like a perfect scope, and it kind of benefits the both of us, all of us, everybody involved. If I just go ahead and remake this into something nicer, and you guys kind of get to join me through that journey. So, not really sure how long it's going to take. I don't even plan on reopening up this original project because I think, this was, years ago. So this is a much older version of Unreal Engine. Not even, it might even be 4.27 or something old. Probably not even Unreal Engine 5. I'm not sure, but it's back there. So we're not going to bother with that. What we're going to do is just open it up fresh, Unreal Engine 5.3, and go. So let me just stop talking and go. Let me put on some music and get to work. So, if we're starting off a project fresh, let's see, where would we begin? Okay, so first thing I'm going to want to do is open up our launcher. Let me scooch this over so I can see what is going to pop up here. I've been working on some other stuff that might not be YouTube friendly, so I need to keep my eyes on that. Make sure some of these other side projects don't come popping up. So let's see. I'm digging, and yeah, we're okay. So for now, let's go ahead and launch Unreal Engine 5.3.2, and Tomato Thrasher was a VR game. So since we're going to be starting off with the VR project, it's not initially going to be C++. We'll convert it into a C++ project. We'll get it hooked up with Git. We'll even get it hooked up with LFS. And let's see, what else? What else do I do? Jira. Normally I track, well, yeah, sometimes I'll make a Jira project to track some of this stuff. And since it's kind of like, you know, good project management work, we'll go through that workflow as well. Okay. So let's see. We'd start off brand new virtual reality project. And, you know, let me get this stuff over here. I need to keep my eyes on like this YouTube chat. Not that, you know, not that I expect anybody to like drop in, because this is like the first stream ever. So I know how it goes. I know how the game is. You know, we're going to be talking to people who visit this video after the fact, probably. So hello to you in the future. Thanks for watching this video. You're awesome, by the way. Let's get this project going. So let's call this Tomato Thrasher remake. And we're not going to bother with any of the starter content. And I'm just going to dump this where I put most of my Unreal projects. So we're going to create this virtual reality project like so. And shaders are going to compile. We're going to get going here. So really, before we get deep into the game, building it up and adding to it, we want to take this initial blank project and get it saved into a repo, a repository space. And the reason why we want to do that is because I currently have another project where I got kind of build happy. Just started going. And by the time I decided to add it to the repository, now the build is just far too large. And while I'm uploading it to the repository, it's constantly being interrupted. It makes it has to upload maybe like 8 gigs. And, you know, I have to come up with some solutions to upload it to its entirety without the upload being interrupted or disconnected, or, you know, it's another fiasco. But that fiasco came from me not just doing this from the beginning. So right from the get-go, if I'm serious about this project and I want to save it or work on it between multiple machines, I'm gonna want to save it, you know, in a repo space, especially if you want to expose this project to other people, to other developers, other team members, or if it's, you know, open source. You know, you don't want to hog it. So we want to get this into GitHub using Git. So one important thing to mention here, that's something a lot of folks get confused about. GitHub versus Git. For the uninitiated, Git is going to be the protocol that is used to transfer this data to this cloud or this remote space. So GitHub is going to be like the website and the repo tool that we use to, well, GitHub will have a repo tool, GitHub Desktop, that we'll use to interface using Git to upload and you know, transfer our files to our repo. So imagine that, I guess, GitHub is the surfboard and Git is the ocean. So and, you know, from a social aspect, the hub, Git, you know, it's kind of a social thing where everybody, you know, come on, you know. Okay, so let's get GitHub going. First thing I want to do is If you don't have a tool for this, I highly recommend just using GitHub. You can go to github.com, go through all the prerequisites for installing it and Git, and go through all that. Assuming you've already got that set up, you know how this workflow works. You just follow along. This is what I do. So what I'm going to do is add a new space for this project here. So we've got it saved. Let's actually make it a C++ project first, just so whenever we're uploading this to the repository, we can do pretty much all of the project files and the initial project setup. We'll try to kind of do it in like one upload here, and that's still relatively small, so that's not a big deal. So we'll create a new C++ class, and let's create a C++ character. I plan on using a C++ character that I have from other VR games. So I'll probably copy paste that. I'm not sure what I called it, but let's just make a new character for the time being, and we'll just kind of plug this in. So what's going on right here is we're looking for a place to add the C++ code. Before, I used to split these into public and private folders. I noticed in the Project Lyra demo that Epic has, they don't bother with that. They just put the C++ and the header files directly together in the folders they need to be. And I mean, that seems pretty clean and straightforward, and it's easy to find the header files and the CPP files. So I kind of like doing that. I tried it once. This will be the second time we're doing it. So what we're going to do is go find that Tomato Thrasher project, which was in the Unreal Projects, Tomato Thrasher remake. We're going to the, what was it, the source folder? Yeah, source. Oh, which doesn't exist at the moment because we haven't created it just yet. But okay, so let's see. Would I want to create those folders manually or just let this guy do the work? We're just gonna let this guy do the work here, and we'll move our stuff over. So first, let's just call this default VR player. And let's see, it's going to dump it to source, Tomato Thrasher RE. So in here, let's have it create a folder, and let's call it player. And we'll do another slash. And okay, looking good. Let's add that code and make this a C++ project. Okay. So I don't know if that's going to open Visual Studio or Rider. Let's say no. We'll open it up ourselves. And to close, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to do real quick in the project settings. Oh, just one nice to have in the editor settings, editor preferences. One nice to have is this little pop-up window. Every time we double click stuff down here in the content drawer, we don't always want it opening in like a whole new window. We can control that right in here in this asset editor open location. We just set that to main window. So that's one tiny thing. Do we need to bother with anything in here at the moment? No, I mean, this is not really important to what we're doing right now. So let's close out of here. Okay. So we've got all of our project files over here in Tomato Thrasher RE. So if we go to source, we can see, what we have made. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna use Rider to open this up. Trust and open. Let's get this other stuff out of here. Okay, so we're gonna close out of this for the moment. Okay. So, I'm gonna add Microsoft Defender configuration. Let's just add that. Yep. Give it permissions. Okay. So, git LFS. I guess. Yeah, so git LFS is it's kind of its own thing here. This should already be installed to the plugin or to the engine, but that's just for the sake of redundancy. Ensure that the plugin's good to go. I select install the engine, so I shouldn't have to see that pop up. Did see that pop up. Maybe it's because we're running 5.3 and maybe I haven't done this for 5.3 yet. I'm not sure. Let's see here. So, Git LFS is its own software you'll need to go and install separate from GitHub Desktop. But when you can install Git LFS, it basically stands for large file storage, and it's going to allow you to upload a lot of these large binaries that wouldn't traditionally be supported by, yeah, it said it failed to build, but whatever. I'm gonna call it, you're a liar. It allows us to upload some of these binaries that traditionally would be a little bit too big for GitHub to handle. This is where other repo tools like Perforce typically shine, because Perforce does a really good job of handling these large binaries on its own, I think. I'm not so sure about SVN. It's been a long time since I've used SVN. But with Git, I know LFS is going to be a must. So, well, it's a must if we want to share this with other people. If we're pushing this code to the repo space and we're not using LFS, but we really need it, what's really going to happen is we're only going to be pushing part of the project to the repo space. And while that'll work for us, because locally we'll have the entirety of it, if we go to another machine, like let's say the laptop over here, we fire up the laptop and we download the project onto this laptop, and then we think we can just rock and roll, take it from Git and go, it's not going to have all the dependencies. It's going to be missing a lot of the U assets or material. You're going to open it up and say, what the hell? Like, everything's missing. It's blank. Something's weird. Something's wrong. What's happening? I'm confused. This is game dev is hard. What's happening is LFS. LFS needs to be in place so that way large binary files can be supported in the repository. And if they're supported in the repository, other people can pull them in their entirety, and they can pull completed projects to their local space, which is what we want. So, LFS. We've already got it installed. With LFS installed, I think it's just as easy as going to our project here. Let's see, we don't even actually have a Git project here yet. So that's the first step, is creating a Git repo for it. So let's go to GitHub Desktop. I have other repositories, but we're going to create new repository. So the local path needs to be the folder that's holding this project, which is already in place. The name of the project needs to be word for word exactly as we have it in the project directory. So one easy way to not goof that up is to just copy paste it. Like so. So we've got the name of our project in case we're dumb and we have typos the first time we type it. This saves us. We just copy paste our typos. So after we copy paste, we've got Unreal projects, the directory, correct, git ignore. We're gonna go down and select Unreal Engine license. I don't know. I just say none. So create repository. It's just that easy. And I don't know what's going on with this music, but it sounds really cheesy. So we gotta move on. We gotta try something different. Okay, so we want to publish repository. This is going to make it it's going to make the branch visible beyond our local space. Right now it's still just sitting on our computer, and we're saying officially blamp. Stick this bad boy up, make it available on GitHub to view. And maybe it wasn't just on our local machine, but maybe this step is specifically just for GitHub. I don't know. Either way, here we're specifying that we want to keep this code private. This project specifically, I'm not going to open up as an open source one because I'm not good at that stuff, and I don't want to fumble that up. I don't want to make an open source thing and then totally suck at it, and everybody's super disappointed. I don't know enough about that, so it's still private for the moment, and you just publish it like that. So if now you are on your other machine and you're trying to actually locate your repo, you will actually be able to see it after this step. And here, up here in this top, 11 o'clock position, you can see that it's compressing and uploading the project files. But this won't include large binaries or LFS files. So right after this, we're going to push LFS enablement. I don't know if that's really what you call it, but that sounds kind of fancy. So let's call it LFS enablement. So now that we've got the Git project in here, we can tell that we see these Git attributes, these Git ignore files. We're actually going to mess with the Git attributes after we open Git Bash. And I think Git Bash is something you'll get as a part of installing Git or GitHub, or in the course of installing the both of them. You should also have the option to install Git Bash, and you want to do that. So I'm using Git Bash to open up this area here, and it's just as easy as git install LFS. Oops. Okay. So it's a little different. Let's try git LFS install. Okay, there we go. All right, so we reference git, we reference LFS, we tell that bad boy get installed. It says it's updated our git hooks. What it means is, let me move this out of the way. This git attributes file is showing. Let's put this over here. So I've opened up VS Code, just a text editor. Well, all right, sorry, VS Code. You're not just a text editor. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Right now we're using it as a text editor, and if you look inside, you see there's not anything here. But this is going to be used for LFS. This tells LFS which files it needs to tag for attribution. Attribution? I can't read. So we're gonna add some extensions here, but I've done this a few times, and look, a big part of this is not like redoing everything from scratch over and over and over. So it's important when you can to reuse what you've made and what you've done. So that way you're just constantly keeping the ball going forward. So we don't have to sit and spend any time like remembering, what do I type in one by one? We're just gonna go and we're gonna copy paste from another project that we've already done this in. So, but you'll see what the contents of it is, and you can, pretty much copy it on your own. But to get there, I'm gonna go to another Unreal project. I'm gonna go to one that I'm currently working on. This was for Paradise is Below. So I've opened up Paradise is Below. I'm going to go to open it in Visual Studio Code, and we can see that there are a lot of other file extensions here for Blender. I don't know what a DUF is, UDK, I don't think we actually deal with anymore. But UMAP, UAssets, bins, FBXs, TGAs, MP4s, WAVE, MP3s, JPEGs, PNGs, OBJs, FBX is that in there twice? Oh, bin.fbx and FBX. So all these file extensions would normally be excluded. If you were putting music into your game and you pushed it up to the repo, it didn't get pushed to the repo. If you're adding UAssets, UMAPs, maybe they made it, but if they're large in file size, for sure they didn't. Okay, I don't know that for sure. Probably they did. But the point of all of this here is to ensure that everything we put in this project that we want pushed to get is pushed. So we copy what we have here, and we can just paste it into the other project, Tomato Thrasher. So we paste it, we save it, and we can close out of that, and we're done with that. If we go back over here, we can see in our repo tool, it sees this change. It sees the .get attributes files been updated, and we have added a lot of other files. One other way to check that when you're in Git Bash still, I think, is to type git lfs tracking. Lifts is not LFS. Git lfs tracking. What is it? Yes, I did. Git LFS track. So that's another way through the command prompt to have Git tell you back. You can ask it, hey, what are you tracking right now? And it says, I'm tracking all of these file patterns. Great. So we are good to go with Git LFS. We're going to commit that to main. We're going to push it to origin. And let's see. We've got the repo set up now. So basically, if you went over to GitHub and you opened up your project, I'm going to do that. GitHub loading a little funky for me. Okay, so this is an old project. We need to hop over here. Tomato Thrasher RE. If we hopped into this, basically it's already available in GitHub. So if we're working on another machine, we can pull this project into another machine, and we can have our workspace in 2 locations. So we're pretty much set up as far as Git goes. What else do we need to do as far as project initialization? I think that's about it. We can just start making our game. Okay. So, one good practice, if we're going to start doing stuff with our game, is to try to get into the habit of structuring things in, let me double check my lighting real quick. I see the sun's like setting through my window. Looks okay. Look at all right. Yeah. So, uh-oh. Something happened. What is this? Open Studio. Let's see. Stream's current bit rate is suffering. 13,500. Okay. That's concerning. Okay. So I wonder if that has something to do with my that might have something to do with my router. My router is a little doo-doo at the moment. Needs some work. So okay. Sorry. Got a little distracted, double checking, how we're looking. But let's go back to Tomato Thrasher. And let's hop into Unreal Engine. Let's open projects. And run it. Getting hot in here. It must be this music. Tell you, man, good music is hard to come by. Good licensed music is hard to come by. Okay, so we get a build error right away. Oh no, what happened? I know what happened. It's the header file. Our header file and the CPP file aren't normally next to each other, so we need to go and make that correction real quick. So I'm going to where player is at, I'm going to where this is at, and see when we open this up, our include files are goofed because it thinks, this isn't a separate private directory, but it's not. It's right next to it in the same directory. So we just need to adjust the header file. But with that correction, everything else is on the rails, and these two files are right next to each other, as opposed to, being inside of a public, then player, and then a private, and then player, and then, as this project grows and you're looking at one, you're like, okay, hang on, I'm scrolling up to get to the other. And I'm sure there's a keyboard shortcut to flip-flop between the two, but I suck and I don't know the keyboard shortcut, and I don't even think about it in the moment. I just get frustrated that those two files are so far apart. And once I saw Lyra just had them together, I said, that's for me. So they're together and we can build our project now. Dun, dun, dun. So get that project built. Okay. So project back. Let's get a map going first. Some spot for us to just kind of drop into, spot to work with. Add new folder. Let's call it maps. And here, let's go with the. We don't want to make too much work for ourselves, so we're going to go with the volumetric sky and all the stuff that comes built in with the basic map. We're not going to try to do too much there. So what I like to do is I like to have a naming convention for my maps. Do _M. Maybe some people do that for materials. I don't know. I'll do it for my maps. I'll do M_. And I will name this. Let's see. In Tomato Thrasher, it was just a big open field, so there's even just one level. So let's just call it the game level. But Tomato Thrasher didn't have a menu either, and a menu's kind of decent, not too terribly complex here. So just for the sake of having this kind of placeholder here, let's delete that, and we'll duplicate this, and we'll have our menu start off just like this, because we're not going to be dealing with the 2D screen menu. We're gonna need a 3D space to work with, so we'll start off with a blank 3D space similar to this, with the lighting and the sky, yada yada. And we'll call this one the title. Okay, so we want a player, but in order to get to our player, we want a game mode. So in our world settings, we can see we've got the ability to give a game mode override. We see that there are some here already. If we select VR game mode, we get some options like our VR pawn. But the thing is, I didn't really like the VR pawn. I don't like the teleportation. And that is what we had for Tomato Thrasher. Tomato Thrasher, let me see if I can pull open what we were doing in YouTube, and I want to show you like how we're trying to improve this. I'm gonna go to my YouTube channel. Let's see, pulling up the videos, scrolling down. Yep. I'm blind. So down here, Tomato Thrasher VR gameplay. This video that a whole total of 4 people have seen. This video, this is definitely more than 1 year old. Let's see, it's 2022, January, February. So, wow, this was 2 years ago? Man, I thought we were going 3 years back. I thought we'd been we have been doing this, but I wonder what the hell was happening in that first year. Oh, okay. So this game, it's okay. We're running through, we're shooting, we're blasting. We've got the giant tomato that approaches us, but everything's untextured. We're using the placeholder gun that comes with the project. We're using the placeholder VR pawn that comes with the project. We're using the placeholder grab components that come with the project for just the papers. And apart from that, what features do we have here? We've got basic hit collision detection on the shooting the gun and shooting the tomatoes. We've got a map with some level design where we're running around and shooting the tomatoes. The tomatoes are trying to attack the town hall that's behind us, right up there. They're trying to blast town hall, and what we were doing was just trying to basically play a defend game. We wanted the scope to be super small by just having this one map. You just try to last and defend against this tomato for as long as possible and just hold out. And here, this is my friend who's acting this out, Les, who's waving and telling it, come on. So after that, it would teleport you to like an in credit map where, good job, you done it, you done good. And we had this in credits, but we didn't have like a title screen. So there was a lot that we could still do here. But the thing about this was it was still at least a standalone Oculus game. So it should have run smoothly. There's goddamn nothing in it. So it should be running nice and quick. And since then, other games I've tried to make for SideQuest haven't been quite as optimized for standalone. So it's a little bit of a process. Let's see. Okay, so back to the game. Now let's see. So we want to try to recreate that experience here and to pretty much get it along quickly. First thing we're going to want to do is get the player in place, but I don't want to use the pawn. I want to use Smooth Locomotion for a VR player. So let's get Smooth Locomotion VR. We're going to use a VR player that I use for Not My Paradise is Below. And I'm going to hop over to that project. And you see how this project is split into a public and a private, and it makes navigating it a little bit more tedious. So, choose your folder structure as you prefer. But I've experienced the both, and I kind of like what we're doing in this new project today. So let's see. I want to grab the old default VR player that I had before. Did I even get did I guess the name correctly? That would be super sweet. So you can see there's already quite a bit of functionality that's in on this VR player. And this is the thing about working in C++ versus Blueprints. Because now that we've done this in C++, it's very, very easy for us to migrate this between projects. We don't have to open up the old project, migrate U assets. We're just going to take the C++ code, copy paste code, just text. That's a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to work with from the GitHub file repository perspective as well. So you can make a game totally in Blueprint. There's nothing at all wrong against Blueprint. You see, we're going to use both while we're going through our project here. But basically, it's a good idea to get some of that basic fundamental architecture down in C++, so that way it's very easy to just move it from project to project, and you can just continuously build it and improve it and move it forward. And like I mentioned before, you're not starting all over with each VR player you make. As long as the game, is relatively in the same vein, we can reuse the same player character and just keep improving upon what we know about it and what it can do. So you probably already read through some of this while I was doing all that yapping, but you know, I'm not gonna run through all this. Some of this stuff I don't need. A lot of components. So let's just copy this first, and then I'll start to see what I don't need. So I'm going back to our project, default VR player.h. I'm gonna copy or highlight all of this and paste. Let's always add files. Yeah, that's okay. So there's going to be problems with this because we're just bringing it straight over. This, we do need a reference. I wonder if it's automatically going to add it to our build.cs file. But I don't know that I like adding these down here as like private modules. I'm not sure if it matters, but I've been kind of used to so far like tacking on the extras, like the enhanced input here, tacking it on, and then when we get another one, you know, adding it on there, and kind of adding these modules like so as we go on. But I think what's important is that we just have this listed as an extra dependency module. I'm not sure if it matters whether it's public or private. So I'll go back here. Try to compile this. Yeah, because we haven't even added the CPP file, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Not even thinking. Okay. So that might pop. Yep, there it goes. So let's see. From the header file, I think everything else is okay. I think it just wants us to implement the CPP file. So I'm gonna go back to the other implementation that we had. I'm gonna grab the CPP file. There's gonna be a lot of stuff here I'm still gonna want to remove. So, like here, I'm gonna go up, make that correction right away. Head-mounted display function library. Let's add that reference. I'll come back to clean that up because there's probably got to be more. Let's already do that. So I'm not gonna need this inspectable. That was something for Paradise is Below. We're not doing an inspection system in this game. So I think I just need to remove. Yeah, there was not inspectable there. Let's see what's going on down here. Okay, here's some code for the inspect. So let's take that out. What do we gotta do to get some decent music? Oh no. Man, what do we play? I don't know about that. Maybe we get some like, maybe get some music, some rock music or something. Popular music. What's popular? Christmas. No. Well, all right. Let's just go. Let's go. Let's go. Sun's setting, losing light. We're losing light. All right. Okay, so our player should build now. Let's see. He's got some extra stuff in here. It's a holster business. We don't need a holster. We don't need all that. Let's camera, the head mesh. So let's get rid of this holster. Okay. This is Logic for footsteps, sound effects. Okay. Hand mapping, footstep, room scale logic, binding, player input. Okay. I think everything else is pretty fine. Sanity levels, don't need that. Not that kind of game. Okay, so we gotta remove those from here in the header. We're gonna have some issues. So we took those out. Gone from the header. Is there anything else we cut out? The holster mesh. Yep. Okay. We don't need sanity or an inspection range. Let's see if we can build it. Okay. Build failed. Okay. A default VR play. Oh. We probably still have some copy paste issues here. Like in the header. Yeah. So this one I've bumped into a couple of times just from copy pasting, like from one project and moving it to another. Gotta be real careful about this class name that's right up top, but that's easy fix. Just rename this. What is it to? Project. Not project. Tomato Thrasher RE API. Bam. So the name of our game project in all caps _ API. And now we go back and build again. Christmas music. God, dude, come on, man. Just trying to hang out over here and make a cool game with tomatoes and the flying tomatoes. Come on. Build failed. Okay, so we still have some leftovers in the default VR player file. And you know, this is what you guys really wanted, right? You guys want to see trying to do stuff and it not working, and somebody just being terrible and having to make these corrections. So when you at home also feel terrible, you can follow along and try these troubleshooting steps as well. So down here it's showing us exactly where our problem's at. It's showing us which file specifically. Default VR player. Man, okay. God, just the music. it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle. So I got the default VR player and the CPP file. Inspection range around line 78. Yeah, get out of here, Visual Studio. We're rider boys. We're using that there rider. We're going on over looking for them build errors. I'm gonna find us some of them build errors. Like this here, inspection range. Let's delete that inspection range. We missed it. So we can look back, see if there's any other inspection range. The inspect. Yeah. The header. Line 17. What's going on in the header? What's happening? A default VR player. Yep. I mean, that should be spelled correctly. Okay, see? Now the music's getting better. See? Now we're going somewhere. We gotta pull up more like that. Let's build. Build this. Build it. Linker errors. Okay. It blew up. Man, look at it. Phew. What is the motion controller component? Okay, so I think it has to do with our build. Yeah, I think it's because it just packed this stuff on up here, and we said we'd come back to clean this up later, and then it did not. We lied. So let's try deleting this. And when we keep screwing this up, we're just gonna tap out. And we're gonna go crying to ChatGPT. We're gonna go crying to OpenAI. OpenAI, help! Help! But before we do that, there's one other thing I want to check. I want to check what I have in the other build.cs. What? Okay, so we probably want head-mounted display. Is that not in ours? Let's look. No, it's not, because we suck. So we need more dependencies for the VR. God, the Christmas music. We need more dependencies for the VR library references. For the VR library references that we have here. So, man, there's a lot of something happening over there. Okay. But basically, it's because we're trying to create all this stuff in C++. We're creating things, like motion controller components. I think that's basically it. I think like this motion controller component and maybe some of the references that we make as far as like during setup, like here, head-mounted display function library. Some of this stuff needs references that we have to make these connections for in the build.cs. And if we don't establish these connections, this is how we get those super nasty errors, and those super nasty errors are, I'm not gonna lie to you, that stops people from doing Unreal Engine C++. Like, these problems right here will typically make you cry yourself out of doing this. But we'll get through it. So, trying to look in the text itself. Okay. So is it still complaining about the motion controller component? Okay, so this is a good point to basically show the new age game development. Okay, it's 2024. This is how game development is going to be handled going forward, and this is how I personally recommend utilizing AI tools. You'll notice we've been pretty much going so far based off of our own references, stuff we already have, stuff we already know. But we've bumped into an issue, right? We are trying to copy paste over some code. I could sit and, we could do this for like another half hour and I can look and, I'll figure it out eventually. But we don't want to figure it out eventually. We want to figure it out now. We're getting impatient. And we want to figure it out now. So here's what we're going to do. First things first, I'm going to hop over. I'm going to grab this error, and I can see specifically it has to do, so it has to do with how it's building the VR player, the linker error. So I'm pretty sure it has to do with our build.cs motion controller references. Let me double check one more time if there's other stuff that I'm not referencing. Maybe, I don't know. Interestingly enough, Paradise is Below is not using that XR base module. Interesting. It is using UMG, which we'll eventually need to use for menus and stuff. Head-mounted display, enhanced input, yeah. So it adds some stuff for AI module, navigation systems, and gameplay tasks. I don't think we need that. I think that's for some of the AI stuff I put into that game. But I'm not super sure why it's given us beef still. So I wonder why there's a discrepancy here. Because let's see, in the other, no, it is a little different. Yeah, it is a little bit different. So let me grab. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong file. Yeah, so it's the problem with this. It wants to make a reference to XR base. I guess we'll just let Riders slap it on up there as a private dependency, but it's gross. But maybe this is a 5.0 5.3 thing, which is why I'm seeing it going between 5.2 code to 5.3. But, you know, we'll just ride with it. We'll see what happens. Because it's complaining about these motion controllers. And yeah, that was it. That was the beef. That was the beef. But they had a problem with us putting that in the public dependency modules. You telling me this was not okay? Because we tried this, I'm pretty sure. What's the beef with making this public and not a private thing? Okay, what the hell? All right, so yeah, I guess for 5.3 we want to make sure we have this XR base. Okay, let me fix this headset. My headsets are goofed. All right. Okay, so we should be able to get the VR player up and going. He should be in game. But you can see I'm kind of running through a lot of this without do we already have that? Oops. Okay, so we're gonna open up here. I'm gonna make a new folder. We'll call it player. And now that we've got this base infrastructure in C++, what we want to do is go through and set it up in Blueprint, and it'll use and leverage all this other base functionality. So let me take a peek over here at let me check my lighting. Okay. And check the time. What is it? Okay, so let's keep going. We're gonna get the blueprint. Let's get the blueprint VR player in place. So we're going to go to all classes. We type in default. And we'll see our default VR player class that we created in C++. We'll select that. And here we'll create blueprint and call this our default VR player. Oh, excuse me. So this is our blueprint implementation of our C++ class. We open it up. We can see all the business in there. All that business. If we want to set up some hand meshes, that's where we're going to do it at here. Not going to bother the hand mesh at the moment. I mean, the first one had the hand mesh, so I guess that was one thing we did do. But we're not going to worry about the hand mesh for now. For now, we just want to get it going, so we're gonna use whatever placeholder stuff is in there. So let's go to the actual mesh, or the left hand, right hand. Let's start with the right hand. We'll go to skeletal mesh, and oh, you know, we can go with yeah, we can go with Manny. Let's go with Manny for now. Because I think we still have logic set up in place to handle and control a lot of these animations. So I think if we just throw in the skeletal mesh, we might just be good to go, actually. So let's try throwing in the Manny right. And oh yeah, we got to do that weird bullshit with mirroring the animation. I'm gonna have to reference and dig into. I think it's in the animation blueprint, maybe. I gotta dig Gotta dig for where to find that control. But worry about that later. So left hand mesh, we're gonna go in here, we'll give it the Manny left, compile. Okay, so let's move just the left hand on the left side. Right hand on the right side. This isn't for any particular reason, just because it's easier to see it here in the editor. Okay, so we want to make sure that when we go to play the game that this VR player even pops up into our scene here. Right now, our old VR pawn is going to be what populates to the scene. We can change that if we have a different VR game mode. And this is a good practice that a lot of these like tutorials that just kind of show you the one-off mechanics, they're not really like skipping and getting into like the deep of this kind of stuff. Ultimately, we want to use our own game mode for this. We're not going to want to use just this default VR game mode. But when we go to implement our own game mode, it's going to kind of alter a little bit of what's going on here. So let's real quick make a game mode, and I mean we're working our way up to getting our playable character. We're getting close. We're getting there. So let's go in. Let's add our custom game mode real quick. We're going to go in here. We're looking for game mode base. Selecting next. I'm going to go to create a folder. We had one for player. Let's make a new folder for managers. This is for all, you know, admin, backend, system, etc. type stuff, like game modes. So we'll toss it in there and we'll call it custom game mode. And I mean, custom game mode's pretty generic. So I guess good practice might be to do something like just I don't know, gameplay, game mode. That's kind of dumb, but it'll work. Let's go with that. So we're gonna have to first go up and make that little correction. And let's see here. This is gonna want a constructor, a gameplay game mode, and Alt Enter, generate definition. It does not like how I spelled game mode. Sorry. Okay, so basically we just want to have this game mode in place as a placeholder for later. I don't have anything to do here at the moment, but we will ultimately. So we can go here, add in this placeholder game mode, and so real quick, if we just try to use that C++ game mode, you can see it right there, gameplay game mode, and this probably was not a good name for it. But if we use the gameplay game mode, you can see all this is grayed out, and this could be confusing for some folks. But the reason why it's grayed out is because we can't really customize this C++ game mode. Just like we did with the player, we're going to extend our C++ functionality into Blueprint. So this is the typical design pattern that I'll follow as best as I can while developing anything in Unreal Engine. I'll try to do it as best as I can in C++. If this is something that I don't need to just whip together really fast, or it's really tiny, or Like prototyping in blueprints is great, but basically what we want to be able to do here is create this in C++, so that way that functionality we can carry over and migrate easily between projects. So being able to migrate it easily between projects is great, but we want other people like designers, or we want more customization, or we want to do things at runtime, like mess with runtime variables or runtime actors that we don't want to mess with referencing from in C++. Because you'll notice there's a big difference here. C++, all of that code we're writing at compile time before we build and compile all of this. So when we build our C++ code, it has no idea about variables and things being spawned inside of our game world and all that stuff happening and moving around. We have to build things to connect the blueprint runtime events and logic to that underlying C++ code. So C++ code can still drive what's happening out in our runtime world. So maybe that's kind of confusing, but basically it means make it in C++ and implement it in Blueprint. And that's just the basic rule you can follow as best as you can. If you can just make it in Blueprint, fantastic. Otherwise, you get some extra bonuses from doing it this way. So I don't want to add it to the characters folder. I'm going to make a new folder and call it Blueprints. And inside this Blueprints, I'm going to have a new folder and call it Managers. And in here, we'll create a new Blueprint class. And this will be our custom. Nope. Custom would have been the better name. But we're going to go with that silly name we gave it. Was it gameplay game mode? Man, I gotta fix the cable on these headphones. Keep cutting out. This cuts out like one ear's worth of audio. Okay, so we've got our I guess we could rename it custom game mode here. So we just need to remember, you don't have to remember, you can highlight it and it'll show you here. You can see it's inheriting from parent class Tomato Thrasher re.gameplay game mode. So that shows you the class, the C++ class that this blueprint is being created from. So we can go in here and set our default pawn class to our blueprint implementation of the default VR player. Say OK. So we'll go back here. So there's two places we can set this up. We can set it up in the overall editor settings, or we set it up map to map. I only plan to have like 2 maps here. So when one map will override the game mode for the title and the other map will override the game mode for the gameplay. But typically you can set up a default gameplay or default game mode from the editor itself. And you could, have one basic, but there's only 2, so it's already 50-50. So we'll override both places. Instead of using the C++ class, we use the blueprint class. And now we get the ability to edit and customize and change this out. But we've already got our default pawn class set to what it needs to be. And if we go here, we see VR preview is not enabled. So the reason for that is it's because our VR headset here is not actually connected to Quest Link at the moment. So there's a little bit we got to do there to make sure that we're ready to step into our let me just punch the mic real quick. There's a little bit we got to do there to make sure we're ready to step in to our VR player. So right now we should have the functionality set up for him to spawn into the world, and he's not going to move around or anything yet because I don't think any of the input we've done. And yeah, there's so much. You thought it was going to be quick and easy, and you'd just jump in, and all of a sudden you'd have your C++ smooth locomotion VR character. And I told you we'd be copying and pasting our code, and here we are still. And the reason for that is because it takes time. We're going to add a new folder, call it input. And I'm kind of lying to you. We already have an input folder from the VR template. It comes built in. We want to use this. We want to borrow this. Yeah. So we're going to try to implement the one that's already here in place, because it takes time and we don't want to spend time. Time is our currency. It is our budget. So okay, let's go to the default VR player. In the blueprint class, I've already got some stuff here set up for the input in C++. Not there. Okay, so we just need to make these connections and references. So the reason I have this already is because I've copy pasted over the C++ code. The C++ code handles establishing these references so they're available in Blueprint. And now that we've written that architecture in C++, we can copy paste it over and say, look, here's the default mapping context we want to use, IMC default, the default hand mapping context we want to use. So this is what it's using for hand animations. We're going to use the IMC hands that came with the VR template. Move action. Go with the input. Move. Just type move. I move. Turn action. Turn. Jump action. I don't know if there's a jump. Nope. We'll have to make a jump. And inspect action. I thought we got rid of that. Okay. Sorry. Auto receive input. Yeah, I guess we're gonna be the only player, so it shouldn't be a big deal. I think that should be okay. We might need to look inside of the input mapping for IMC default and actually see what's in here. So it's got lots of stuff in there, no jump. I think we do have a jump in our C++. I know we have a jump. So let's go and add that input real quick. Go to where all the other inputs are, just to stay organized. We'll go to input, input action, IA underscore jump, save. So jump is, simply a Boolean. I think it is perfectly fine, as simple as that. But we have to go to the IMC input mapping, and we gotta give it a value here. It needs to know that we are gonna do a jump. We're gonna have an IA jump, and our input action jump is gonna be triggered by our Oculus Touch, the right controller, A press. I can't read. It all just blends together. So You see it on the controller, right controller. Oh, it's getting dark. Oh no. You can't see. You can't see. Okay. It's the A button. Trust. It's the A button. So we had sunlight when we started this. What am I? Oh, you know what we can do now though? Let's see. We can bump. It's on the bump. RGB time. Blammo. Excessive lighting time. With our funky music. Okay. So, write a Oculus Touch. Write a press. Bam. Okay, so that's our jump. I mean, we could include others. Show a little bit of love for the valve index. All right, valve index, A button as well. Okay. So let's add a new binding. Go down here. We're looking for the valve index. Write a press. Blam. And just like that, we're good. So should have the jump, should have locomotion, should have input, should be able to move around, should spawn correctly. Should be okay. Oh, and you know, we forgot one real important thing. Before we went into all this, I wanted to make a point that if we were going to start some work in this repository space, it is a good idea for us to create a feature branch for us to begin this work on, in case in the course of setting this up and configuring this and going about this, I totally screwed this up and like burned the whole thing down. It really helps to be able to revert back to the last save point that we had effectively, which would have been when we completed the git LFS configuration before we started copying and pasting code over and we started getting those errors that we started working our way through. We would have created a feature branch back then, and that feature branch is where we would have started, making all of these changes and committing these changes. So we got a little bit lazy there. I forgot about that, but we're still there. Basically, I'm going to pull open GitHub Desktop. When it pops open, we see all of our changes, but all of our changes are direct against master at the moment. So we've got two options. One of them is we can just say, screw it, we're lazy developers, and it's us anyways. We're just doing this all on our own. One thing we can do is just say, screw it, and push it all straight to main anyways, and just commit all this and say, next time we do better, and next time we'll create a feature branch and we'll start our work directly in the feature branch. Alternatively, if we absolutely cannot, it's a rule, we just can't, because really it's best to have this rule in place on your repo, especially if you're working with other people. Really only need it if you're working with other people, but you sometimes won't be able to make pushes directly to the main branch like this, also known as master branch. You won't be able to just directly push your code because of branch protections, and you'll have to go through the process of a pull request, which we'll do for folks unfamiliar. So let's open up, so I'll show you, we're going to migrate all of these changes over to a brand new branch. Hopefully we don't totally screw everything up and the whole thing burns down and I cry myself to sleep tonight because I tried to migrate all these 12 changes from one branch to another. Doing that unnecessary stuff makes me a little nervous, but let's assume we can't just push it directly to main, and that we don't want to anyway. So we're going to go through this little bit of an extra step. Instead of just being a lazy developer, we'll go through the proper process. So let's go and first say a quick prayer to science that we don't lose anything. Let's go create a new branch. In our new branch, let's name it player setup, because that's the focus of what we're doing right now. And with this feature implementation, our focus is getting the player set up, getting the player in game, and getting the player moving around and doing stuff. And also really the whole project, we set up the project fresh, and we're going to set up our fresh C++ locomotion character. Let's create this branch. Wants to know, are we leaving the changes on main, bringing them over? We're bringing the changes over, and this is where our prayer to science comes into play. And we publish our new branch, which is called player setup. And I can hear Discord pinging off right now. Quick plug. If you didn't know, this is going to be a quick shameless plug for myself. Let me try to whip open Discord here. So quick shameless plug. If you ever wanted to follow Robot Punch, any of the development updates that I do, I have set up, as I can hear it pinging off in the background, I have a GitHub webhook set up on the Robot Punch Discord server. So as we go and we do work online, and we do it in GitHub, let me see. I'm looking for the channel. Damn, why is my... It's totally over... My dumb ass is just totally overlooking it. Okay, so we've got the development stream here, our development activity channel. So I have a channel where earlier, whenever we created our branch and we created our player setup channel right now, all of this is being populated to a GitHub hook. So this is just my public, my personal, shameless plug that if you're ever interested in seeing more of what I'm doing in other projects, as far as Paradise is Below or any unannounced projects, all of my GitHub activity, even for the private unannounced projects, are on the Robot Punch Discord, and you'll be able to see this webhook activity as we're working. So when we go to make this change here, we've created the branch that populated this webhook, and I'm just bringing this tangent full circle back onto Rails, back to what we were talking about. We've implemented, let's say, added character code and input, and we're going to commit this to our player setup file, or player setup branch. We're going to push to origin, and Discord is going to do a thing. When it's done pushing, okay, I heard Discord and added character code and input and the commit number, and that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We can even click that up and jump right to the commit in GitHub. But to be honest, I don't know what that looks like if I don't know what that looks like if you don't have access, because this is a private repo. So if you don't have access to it, I don't know but see, and this is the other benefit of doing this player class in C++ as opposed to Blueprint. Because we're doing it in C++, we can see all of the changes, all the character code, all the guts, all the nuts and bolts that make this player work. And as we update it and make changes to it, we're seeing these line by line changes and not just like this binary bullshit here, this BP custom game mode .uasset getf LFS file not shown. Yeah, this is just a binary file being updated in the repo, and we can't see the guts and the nuts and bolts of what's going on in there, and that sucks. So let's go back. So before we do anything like a pull request, let's see if we actually can get this working. And to see if we can get this working, we need to open it up in VR. So the moment has come. Let's go to Oculus. Okay, so I got to do a few things. First, I have to open up Oculus here. We got Oculus open. Bam. With Oculus going, that's gonna let me go into the headset. So I'm gonna have to put on the headset. I'm gonna have to go into the menus for the Quest 3, and I'm gonna have to connect it using the Rift or the Link setting. I mean, most of you, if you're familiar with VR development or using the Quest headset, I'm sure you're already familiar with what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm doing now. So let's do that. Okay. So okay, let's see. Right now, I am looking at nothingness. See the void, and I think it is on, so I might need to do a power cycle here. Find the button. Weird. Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. Yeah, let's do a power cycle. Start. Okay. So the headset is restarting. Okay. Let's see. Let's create a new boundary. Controller's updating, so it's kind of ignoring the controller. Yeah, let's create a new boundary. up. Okay, having an issue. Yeah, let's see. Oh, Jesus. Of course, shit's gotta goof up. Alright, so the headset's being a fucking punk right now. So let's disconnect it. In here. Turn this shit off. Okay, it's running some kind of update. Yep. Now it's powering off. Cool. Now it's off. Sweet. Okay. Let's turn it back on. So, waiting for it to boot up right now. Okay. Alright, it's booted up. I'm gonna pass through. I'm gonna create a new boundary. Okay. Let's choose a boundary. Let's make it stationary. And should be right here. Goes all the way down. Firm. I mean, this is not a good space for this, but we don't need a lot of space. Okay, so I'm in here. I'm going to quest link. I don't have a physical cable connected at the moment, so I need to fix that issue. Let me turn past. Oh. So now, let's get this cable reconnected. So we've got the Oculus app open, and with the Oculus app opened, now we connect the headset. So let's get in here. Connect the headset. So what I have too is I have like one of the small Velcro straps that comes with cables that you normally use for holding just the cable together when it's folded up. I'm basically using that same cabling to help hold the cable for the USB-C input, the charging cable. I'm using this to help hold it onto the side strap, so that way there's not this tension that kind of pulls on the port itself. I'm trying to keep all of the tension at the point of this strap instead. So we've got the USB cable connected. So we go in here and permission to connect via USB. I'm enabling the Quest link. Doing some loading, and we're in. We are in. So, hit my desktop view. Okay. Let's view monitor 1. So right now I'm looking at my own desktop in VR. I can, pretty much move this stuff out of the way, and I can even hear our music once more playing in the headset. What I don't know is where my sound is coming from. I don't know if the sound is just this microphone or if I'm actually getting audio from this microphone too. So, hopefully there's nothing weird there. Let's check that. I'll turn that microphone off. We'll go back into the Quest link. Okay, so VR preview. Okay, so the our hands are goofed up. They're not really in the right spot. We can fix that. And some of our inputs not working yet. Okay, but the turn works. The others do not. So the other inputs haven't been configured to handle the difference between these inputs. So let's back out. So what's going on here is basically we need to go to our input and so for moving, this is when we make these changes, by the way, it will break the other pawn unless we make a different input action. So I guess one solution is we could make this and we'll call it smooth move. Okay, that was not on purpose. Okay, smooth move. So here, instead of it being a 1D axis, and this is what they're using for the VR template. It's just one dimension, whether you push forward or not. We want a 2D axis because of the code we set up for our player. We scroll down, we can see for the input we have the move, the turn rate, or turn at rate and jump. And if you go into move, we're expecting a 2D vector for our input action value. We're taking this value and extrapolating from it. Oh my goodness. We're taking this this f vector 2D, and from it we're going to be extrapolating two different vectors. One of the vectors is our x, the other vector is our y. So that's the reason why we weren't getting what we're expecting here. So we've got the axis 2D. Let me save that. And I'm going to go back to our default VR player. And for the input, we're going to use the updated. Instead of the IA move, we're going to use the smooth move, which is going to use the 2D vector and won't break the other one we already have. Our turn is already working. Our turn we want it as a 1D. I'm not certain about that. I think maybe. Let's double check the code. Yes. So turn at rate, we're just expecting a single vector. So that is just going to be the Y value, the all left and right. What else? Our jump was not working. Okay, so jump. So for jump. Yeah. So we should have been able to get that. We're just referencing the character class jump. Playing a sound if the sound's available. Sound was not available, but it should have skipped that. Gone straight into the jump. So let's go back. Let's make sure all of our C++ changes are caught up. Yep, there's no changes. Okay, let's keep thinking. Jump. Oh, and our hand meshes. Our hand meshes are like way off for some reason. Is it because we moved these over? Should we just I do know what's up. It's because we haven't I think we still have to like turn and orient and configure these hand meshes to like, you know, at least point in the correct direction, which I think is, you know, why we're taking the right motion controller as a whole. And really that's what I need to be moving. Let's move the whole right motion controller to the right. That takes the mesh. Let's take the whole left motion controller to one side. Okay, so that's at -40, and this one's at also 40. So let's rotate the left hand mesh like so, and then let's rotate it like that. Okay. So I think that'll get our hands from being weird. There's still some to do here for like the animation stuff. But there's also, I think, some functionality we want to copy over from the VR pawn to handle those hand animations. But I'm not going to worry about that just yet. But I think we can, on these meshes, at least set the animation blueprints. I think that should set us up for later, at least. Okay, so music got kind of cheesy, huh? Okay, so I want this player to move for now. And to get it moving around, we gotta figure out what... Okay, so us correcting the input action should have fixed the move. We can test that out and see. The jump, I'm still a little confused why the jump's not working. And it's here. Oculus Touch A press. So I don't like this I toggle menu right, so I'm actually gonna just take that one out there. Like the menu on the left. We've got the grab for the left and the right. Turn. Okay, so the other issue with our move is we're telling it to take the y-axis, and making this correction will also break our thing again here. So we could copy this. I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna make a copy of this. We don't care about the default pawn. We're gonna bust it up and move on. So we want to change this from being just the y-axis for the move to being a 2D axis for the Oculus Touch or left thumbstick. Nope. Yes. So, and this needs to be for the valve, index, left thumbstick, 2D axis. Delete that, delete that. Let's delete this other, this mixed reality Vive. So okay, I think no, this needs to be changed to right. So if we want to move the left thumbstick and kind of turn with the right, I think we're turning with the right. We're gonna go and use the right thumbstick x-axis. So for the valve index, we want the right axis, right thumbstick x-axis for the valve index. Right thumbstick x-axis. And Oculus, same thing. Oculus right thumbstick x-axis. Save that. Okay. So that should handle moving, jumping. So jumping, I think it didn't go because we're missing the trigger. And the trigger is just anytime it's pressed. Yes. So we just get pressed. For the valve index, we do the same thing, triggers. Mark that as pressed. Boom, boom. And we jump back into VR. You dirty motherfucker. So he's still not moving. Okay. Oh, we probably didn't set up triggers and stuff on the okay. So I probably need to look and set the triggers as well for this. Okay, so here I guess the triggers are when it is down. But we also did not get our jump. And we should have got the gosh darn jump. Should have been that simple. And the move, our left thumbstick to the axis. And we want trigger fires when the input exceeds the actuation threshold. Yep, and our actuation threshold is minimal. So also one thing we can do is go and take a old project and just open it up. We just open it up and look at the input that we're using from, our last project and double check, what we might be doing a little bit differently. I think it's okay to mark these as down, but, rather than just like kind of shooting in the dark and guessing, I'm going to try to reference another project that we're working on, double check, a working copy and compare notes. So I'm opening up Paradise is Below, and interestingly enough, we are already at the input. So for Paradise is Below, I said the move. Oh, I never changed the valve index. Oh, Jesus. We're finding game bugs live. Okay. So we got the left thumbstick for people playing on Oculus. For everybody playing on the valve index, my bad. Sorry, guys. We'll fix that. So here it doesn't have anything set up specifically in the thing itself. So that's interesting. So I'm gonna emulate that and I'll remove that from here. So that means I want to double check these things. And therein lies the issue. Our input action move is still anticipating just this 1D axis. So for the move, we want 2D. Let's go over here. Let's check our jump. What's going on in jump? Triggers, rest. And okay, so we put that directly into the input action. And jump should be okay. This one should be okay. Yeah, let's test it out. Okay. So our hands are still in a little bit of a weird place, but I'm not going to worry about the hand placement at the moment. Back in VR. Play. Let's not jump. disconnect still. It's because we're missing the trigger? Because I didn't add the trigger for the move? Because I didn't put... Okay, so if I look at the input action for the old project, we're moving. Interesting. I'm only marking here as a 2D axis vector and consume input. I don't have to do all that extra bullshit. Okay, so let's take out all that extra bullshit. Yeah, looks like there's some slight differences between 5.2, 5.3. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. I'm looking at the differences in the menu. The action is trigger when paused. It's there. Value type triggers, modifiers. There's an advanced section over here in 5.3. The input consumption is different, and settings is user settings. A little different. Okay. Okay. I wonder what the difference should be here. Oh. Shoot. Yeah, that's the issue. Because we're trying to give it smooth move instead of move. And we're over here pressing input for smooth move and not move, and yeah. Okay, so we found the issue. Let me just fix these goddamn headphones. It's gonna drive me crazy only having audio in one ear. So I'm going to change this move to smooth move. And that is the input we're using for our player. Input, yep. Smooth move, yep. And that's why the jump isn't working, because we didn't go and connect the jump action to our player blueprint. So this is just so that way inside C++ I can basically configure what type of input actions I know to expect. And the input actions we're creating inside of Unreal Engine, we're creating it inside of the blueprint, inside Blueprint. So we have to be able to connect the two. We have to connect our C++ characters functionality. We want to write that functionality in C++. But we want to be able to use these blueprint input action references. So basically we're going and we're taking our blueprint code, connecting it to C++, using these references in the player. But you see, we also have to maintain the references in the this template itself, or the values that are inside the action. There's a little bit to configure there, but I think it should be finally good. So let's test it. So we've got the move, we've got the jump, and we've got a smooth locomotion. Peace. Adios. Oh, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stomach. Now we're in a scary place. Okay. All right. Cool beans. Cool beans. Okay, so let me do a time check. I see I've been running for a minute here. So far, we've got our basic character set up. I think we pretty much finished this first feature that we wanted to take a look at. If we go back to GitHub, player setup, we set up our move, our jump. We're good. The hands aren't exactly, like perfectly lined up, but what I'm going to do later is just look inside of another project for the values that I use to, get them lined up and just copy paste those same values. Because we don't want to try to do it expediently. So here to wrap up what we're doing in this feature branch, let's go. First, let me quickly look at the stream here, and let's see, not that. Yeah. So it looks like we've been going for just maybe about 2 hours or so, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have some issues as far as like the latency goes, as far as like the connection. I'm gonna watch this back and see whether or not my connection's kind of choppy or kind of nasty. I'm getting a warning here that says the bit rate is low, but I don't know if that's just because I'm every so often getting like an interruption to the stream because I've got this Garbo router that I need to fix, or if I'm having some other issues here. And I'm also not 100% certain if you guys can hear like my wild ape children going crazy in the back, but they're there, and maybe the noise canceling for my mic is protecting you guys from that, but I can hear that. I can hear that going on out there. That's a thing. Let's wrap up this feature branch here before this headset cutting in and out drives me crazy. So we finished up. We added the smooth locomotion and jump. So we'll commit that to our player setup. We're going to push that to the origin, and let's create a pull request for that. So what we want to do here, the whole process of this pull request seems redundant because we're working ourselves, but this is pretty much our formal process for getting things from our segregated little feature branch where we have this kind of like nice, neat little environment where we're doing our work in, versus, okay, versus getting it over into the main branch. So like if we wanted to pull open the work that we're doing over here on this other laptop, what we need to do is get our feature branch merged into the master branch. Having that merged into master branch, we can just pull master branch directly or main branch directly in other projects. Alternatively, if we wanted to see all of the changes that we're making, they're just in that player setup feature branch, so we'd have to pull specifically that feature branch. But we're merging this together. We're going to make them one by creating a pull request. Good practice would be to add a description here. I'm going to be lazy. We added some comments for kind of what we're doing here. And yeah, we got the player set up, player locomotion set up. So we'll merge our pull request, confirm merge, merged into master. So that lets us come back over here. I want to go into Unreal Engine and I want to like just close out of everything, where everything's at. See this, that's a goof. We goofed. We did not save that VR pawn, but it's okay. We'll discard the changes from that. I think we goofed it up though now though. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to swap back to main. I'm going to try to leave these changes on player setup, but probably made a mistake. Probably made a mistake for myself. Yeah. And you can see it's still changed there. Even if we try to trash those changes, it's still going to complain that it's different from the master. Yeah. Sometimes working with the repo, you can come across dumb errors like this that are very annoying, but they're not insurmountable. Irritating, yes, but we can deal with it. So let me try launching, see if we're gonna have an issue. Okay, build succeeded. So right now we're launching main. In GitHub, I've gone back to, desktop, I've changed back to our main branch. So here we're opening up main, we'll go to our maps, not the VR template maps, our maps, go to the game level, we get our blank game map back, where we can start doing other stuff. But we're probably still gonna have an issue with that VR pawn. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that that wants to pop up and be annoying now. But it's alright. We'll handle that less critically. It's just an annoyance, not really stopping us from doing anything. But I kind of feel like maybe this is a good point to kind of tie it off for today. You know, I don't think we're getting a crazy amount of people jumping in to the stream, begging me to keep it going. And I probably need to check on this stream quality and see pretty much how this test run did. Pretty much see how we did for this initial 2 hour go at it. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess this is the part typically where we kind of piece it out, kind of part out from here. I plan on doing more of these streams, but I plan on doing it earlier in the day. and I'd like to continue along with this Tomato Thrasher game. I want to update Tomato Thrasher to be a lot nicer than it was before. We're adding in a little extra features. I'm gonna get started earlier in the day so I'm not kind of leading up to my own dinner time here, because it's starting to get a little bit late. Need to go check on, you know, the kids and stuff and make sure that the rest of the house is okay and taken care of. And next time I'll probably get the stream going while kids are in school, and while they're off doing their own thing, we can be here building, working. And I had to cough real quick. So yeah, so if you enjoy this, basically I'll be doing more C++, doing more blueprints, a more holistic approach to making video games. All of these mechanics, how they all tie together, how we're putting it up into itch, end to end. You know, we're gonna go through this process, but we're gonna see if we can do it in maybe, I don't know, let's call our shot right now and let's do it within just this week. We'll give ourselves 1 week to walk all the way through this VR project. And 1 week from now, let's do our best. Let's see if we can just rehash Tomato Thrasher remake into a cooler game that we can kind of refresh and update our portfolio with. And at the same time, give you guys a look at that end-to-end process of making a game. Not going to be the best game in the world, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to just make small games quickly and take what we've learned and move that forward to the next small game and make the next one quickly and move that forward, and so on and so forth until we're professionals. So I'm going to catch you guys next time. And if you are watching this video now, or you're watching the video in the future, I appreciate you being here. Liking the video, subscribing to Robot Punch is always super helpful. I appreciate you. You are awesome, and I'm gonna catch you next time. Peace out.